Hello, everyone. It's Chat with Mac. We are glad to have you. Thank you to everyone that listens to our video on a week by week basis. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel. And once again, thank you for joining us. How's it going on this beautiful Saturday today?
Oh, going great. How you doing?
I'm good. I want to talk about something that's been top of mind really for you for the last 3 years. And now companies are starting to take notice, and that's compliance for a variety of different verticals. I know for a few people, when they think of compliance, they think of maybe financial, whatever the case, financial institutions or whatever, but it goes far beyond that. Now, I wanted you to kind of touch on that a little.
Yeah, so there are two main categories, right? So one is compliance where some government entity requires businesses, whether it's contractors or whatever, to be compliant to certain standards. Like DoD will require most of the suppliers to be compliant with some standards. Then there is a whole separate other type of companies where they're not required by government, but their customers or other third parties require compliance. We're seeing an uptick in this second type of companies, right? So it's not a regulation that requires compliance. It's their customers or their vendors that require compliance. At the end of the day, it's all a matter of reducing or minimizing risk. And that's what it comes down to, right? So, same thing applies in the IT industry. I wrote an article about this. It's been a few years now. It's one of the articles available on our website. You can download from there. But anyway, so this was a few years ago, and it was talking about how IT is not a regulated industry.
Right.
And even now it's not. There are a lot of things on, proposed things, but it's not regulated. So the problem is any provider out there can set any standard, can follow or not follow any standard they choose to. They can set any price, whether it's high, low, in the middle, whatever. There's really no regulation. So, and this article that I wrote was about how does somebody decide how to choose the right fit IT provider for themselves, right? And this is where the compliance piece comes into play. Compliance is not going to magically make a company better. All compliance is going to do is it's going to verify that what the company is saying is actually accurate. That's all it's going to do, right? So here's an example. We've been in business since '97, so we've been in business for a while. Never before have we even considered to be SOC 2 audited. It's like, nobody cares, right? Especially in Texas. We're in Texas, and I know of companies who are in the financial field, and I remember a few years ago, I used to go to them and say, hey, this is how we can make your compliance requirements easier and make it easy for you to get compliant and pass the audits. And usually the operations guys will tell me, oh, well, but we don't want to make it easier for the auditors. We want to make it harder. We want to give them a big book of stuff so they'll look at it, get scared, and just rubber stamp us and go about their business. Well, now things are changing, right? Now those same companies are coming to us and saying, hey, talk to us about how we can make things easier for compliance. And that's, now we're in a spot where our customers have started asking us for certain compliance audits or certifications, whatever have you. So the market is changing. And I think the biggest change happened when, within the last 360 days, the big uptick in hacks and breaches occurred, right? That's when really people kind of woke up and they were like, okay, there's something needs to be in place here. So there should be a standard baseline for IT providers or any service provider out there. And that's where we are. The reason why we chose to go through the SOC 2 audit is because some of our customers started asking us about that. And then the more important part was our customers were asking us to get them compliant. In my mind, how can I help somebody else get better compliant when we ourselves are not compliant, right? So we have to be compliant and know all the ins and outs before we can go to somebody else and say, oh, well, this is what the controls are. These are what the policies are. This is how you make sure they're implemented. This is how you verify them. And I'm not talking about specific, like CMMC compliance or any kind of, specialty compliance. I'm talking about just a basic, SOC 2 compliance audit, have, and it was interesting when we went down this road, we found out that most MSPs, managed service providers out there, do not have any compliance.
Yeah.
They don't have anything. It's just their word that they're doing things the right way. So I think that, kind of differentiates us now, that because of our, SOC 2 audit, that we are who we say we are. Our processes, our controls are what we say they are, and they've been audited by a third-party CPA firm. So that kind of verifies everything. So I think times are changing now. Yeah. More and more IT companies, I think, are going to start looking into going through these audits and having third parties audit them, because customers need assurances that whatever the IT company, which is really the backbone of companies, IT is. Yeah. So that main backbone is so critical to the company. Whoever's managing it, we need to make sure that they have the proper controls and processes in place. And what they say, we need to verify that they say. And how do you verify that? That's what an audit will do. That's what a third-party auditing firm, their sole job is to audit companies. They come in, they make sure that everything that's written down in the policies is actually being implemented. Everything that you say is in your controls is actually in your controls. And that's, that's what compliance is all about, is that verification that you are really who you say you are. Your processes are what you say they are. You are doing the things that you say you're doing. Otherwise, it's just, somebody's word over another person's word. And now I think the whole SMB community is kind of getting alerted to the fact that you have to go through some sort of compliance, whether you're doing business with firms that require it or not. It's just a way to verify that you are doing what you say you're doing. So I think it's really a shift in the industry right now, especially when it comes to MSPs, because I know in the past it has never come up. I mean, 2 years ago, if you asked me, hey, Nadeem, we should consider going through compliance, I'll say, are you out of your mind? I mean, it's not cheap to go through this compliance. I mean, these audits, it's a lot of money, right? Especially for a small to medium sized business. So, and that's the other side of the equation. The other side of the coin is a lot of the smaller providers out there, it's going to be a high barrier to entry for them. So yeah, look at it. Like in the past, anybody can wake up one day, decide to be an IT place. What we call the 20-minute MSPs. They can just go to a show, buy a bunch of tools, call themselves MSP, and they're an MSP. Now, if companies are looking for MSPs that are, let's say, SOC 2 audited, then it's harder for the small guys to do that, because these audits, they start at around 20 grand and go up from there, right? So it's not like you can just get up one day and figure, okay, you want to be an MSP and just get into it. Now, of course, you can get into it and call yourself an MSP, and I'm sure somebody will use your services. There are companies out there who don't care, but at the end of the day, the companies where they have long-term viability in mind, they're not going to want an MSP like that to touch their systems, to touch their IT systems.
But this isn't, and forgive me, it's just a thought. This isn't industry or vertical specific, because when you think compliance, like I was saying before, you probably think of a finance company, something that deals with people, finances, things of that nature. But from what I'm hearing with you, it really it's not even specific.
No.
Just okay.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, so in the past, it's true. People who were dealing with other people's finances, like financial management companies, trading companies, things like that. Yeah, they were regulated, they were managed, they had to go through certain types of compliance. But now we are seeing software development companies, we are seeing manufacturing companies where they have to go through compliance because a bunch of different things happen. One is, of course, all these breaches that happen. The other thing is some of these companies, they got labeled as core infrastructure companies. Remember when that pandemic happened and things got shut down, companies got shut down, and there was a core bunch of industries where they remained open because they were considered core
Essential
infrastructure companies, right?
Yeah.
IT being one of them. So I think that kind of shifted the thinking of people that, hey, if these companies are so critical to our infrastructure, why are they not being regulated better? Why are they not being looked with a magnifying glass? As are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Do they have the right security in place when people visit their offices, or can anybody just walk in and do whatever they want? Right. So that level of thinking wasn't there before. And I think it was like kind of like a perfect storm, because on one side we had all these breaches happening. On the other side, we just came out of the pandemic deal where these companies were flagged as, core infrastructure companies. So multiple things happened around the same time. And we are where we are, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for IT companies, because now we can differentiate the wheat from the chaff, right? So now, not any Joe Blow can claim to be an MSP. And if they do claim to be an MSP, all the customers have to do is ask for their compliance audit. And when they can't produce, that'll be the writing on the wall. So I think that's what the major shift that we are seeing in the MSP/IT business right now is. Companies are starting to look into compliance, even though they don't have to. Like, we don't have to be compliant, but we choose to be compliant because that verifies that what we are saying, what our processes are, that we're pretty proud of our processes that we've honed over the last 20 years. And we are saying that auditors, third-party CPA auditors, have verified our processes and given us a clean bill of health, given us the go-ahead, and we can work on your network using our processes. The other side of the equation, of course, also is that our tool set has been, think of it kind of like ratified by the CPA firms, right? So if you need to be compliant, we can just bring our tool set to your company, plug it in, and once we start all that monitoring and core processes, the auditors already have audited us, so they know our stuff is good. So now they don't need to worry about and drill deep and hard into what these tools are doing, what these tool sets are doing. They know our procedures, they know our processes. All they want to do is look at our SOC 2 report and say, okay, these guys are good. Mr. Customer, since these guys are managing you, you're good as well. And it's an easy way to get compliant. So the whole thing kind of starts to flow better. In the past, it would have been, if somebody was going through some sort of compliance, then, the compliance auditors would have to look at their IT provider and drill really deep into what their IT provider's processes are. Are they going to follow some of those compliance principles? Well, now that part is already done, right?
Mm.
So the next company that needs to go through compliance, it's a lot easier because the IT guys have already been flushed out. They're good, and so on and so forth. So as more and more companies in different industries start to go through this process, the entire process is going to become easier and better. And of course, once that starts to happen, the pricing is going to go down, right? That cost of it is going to go down. Right now, it's a high cost because it's a specialty field. There are, I mean, when you look at, just security and compliance in general, there's a shortage of people. I mean, you think like people in manufacturing think there's a shortage of labor. People in pretty much any industry think there's a shortage of labor. But when you look at the specialty compliance and security guys, I mean, you can't find one around the world. I'm not talking just the US, around the world. It's getting harder and harder to find these people because it's a very niche, vertical, specific industry. And all these people know each other, right? I mean, the security guys, they all know each other. It's kind of like lawyers; they all know each other, right?
Right, right.
So I think the shift has already started, and if we keep going down this path, hopefully, what that means is that getting compliant does not mean it has to cost you an arm and a leg like it does right now. And the reason why we are going through, our audits is because we want to make sure that we can tell our customers that, hey, Mr. Customer, we are doing what we say we're doing. These third-party auditors have verified it. And that's what we want to bring to the table for our customers.
And Nadeem has talked about this. We haven't seen it yet, but potentially seeing government intervention as far as yeah,
government regulation is coming. It's only a matter of time because it's IT has become such a core to every business out there that it's only a matter of time that government's going to step in and start regulating these companies. Not too long ago, I got a call from this. It was a goods forwarding company based out of Costa Rica. The guy reached out to us because they needed to get compliant. I mean, it's like, and I was like, why are you worried about compliance? You're sitting over there in Costa Rica. He says, well, most of my clients are in the U.S. and these companies are saying they're not going to do business with me unless I am SOC 2 compliant. I'm like, whoa. So the thing is, and I've heard this from multiple different companies. I mean, there was a company that does kind of like an online auction type deal. They had to go through compliance. So there's a lot of different verticals that are now looking to go through compliance, not because they have to from a government perspective, but they have to because their customers are asking and demanding that they have some sort of compliance in place. And usually they're looking for, like maybe SOC 2 or something like that, or ISO, some sort of ISO compliance, things like that. But yeah, the industry is changing. Initially, it's going to mean higher costs for doing business. But eventually, once this becomes the norm, it's going to mean not only lower costs, but better standards as a whole. It's kind of like that, that rising sea is going to lift all boats. It's kind of like that. And if a boat cannot get lifted by that rising sea, it's going to get filled with water, right? Yeah. So I think that it's good for the industry that there is going to be a good baseline where it makes it easier for prospects to look at what company they want to do business with. What company can they rely on? Because just giving somebody, the word of mouth is just it's not enough. You have to prove it, right? And that's the thing. A company that has gone through a bunch of these compliance, you'd feel comfortable doing business with them. They're not going to go away tomorrow. But a company who is, a 10-minute MSP, yeah, you don't know if they're going to be here tomorrow. And the compliance thing is you have to get it ahead of the game because compliance is not like you snap your fingers and you get it. It's a process. It takes time. So if you can anticipate okay, maybe 2 years from now our customers are going to start asking us for certain compliance requirements, then you need to start working on that now because it can take that long for some of these certifications to happen because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of checks and counter checks in place. And some of the compliance is a recurring annual thing where they will, the auditors will come in and they will pick a period, like, within the last year, they want to randomly select certain processes and see if your processes and controls were what they were. And if they weren't, they'll penalize you for it. So they'll say, okay, yeah, we can't, this is not right. And that will show up in the report. So when you're looking for an IT or IT company or an MSP, and you're looking at their, let's say, SOC 2 report, make sure to go through that report. You want to know who the auditor is, because you don't want some Joe Blow auditor down the street that nobody's heard of. You don't want them to be the auditors of that SOC 2 audit. You want somebody, like maybe a global accounting firm that is going to stand behind their name, right? That has a reputation to keep. They're not going to just hand out these SOC 2 audits. They're going to really do their due diligence before they put that stamp on it and give you that report. And then you want to go through that report. What does the report say? Because it's not black or white. It's not like, you have your SOC 2 and boom, everything is good. There are certain exceptions in that report. You want to read that. What were those exceptions? Which parts of that audit were you reliant on third parties for, right? And then if you were relying on a third party, where is that third party's SOC 2 report, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to look at all this, and it's an intricate process. But the thing is, once you get a handle, it's just paper, right? Once you get a handle of it, you just have to go through these reports. And basically that will verify that whatever the provider or the company is saying is what it is, because a third party has verified it. And if that third party is a well-known company who has a reputation to keep, they're not going to just give you that report. They're going to look very closely at everything to make sure you're doing what you say you're doing. So I think, with that, we'll call it a day. Now, I know the question on people's mind is, well, what kind of compliance should I look into? That's not something that I can answer. Every industry, every vertical, every business is different. So in that situation, what I would say is reach out to your security guys, your compliance guys, reach out to your legal team, reach out to your insurance guys. Now, that's what a lot of people forget is look at your insurance, your provider who's providing you your cyber insurance. Ask them. They will let you know what you need to do. But the easiest way to do this is ask your clients. That's the people you're doing business with. Ask them, they'll tell you what they're looking for or what they anticipate is coming down the line, maybe in a year or 2 years, and get started on that path now.
Nice. Okay.
So I think with that, Mac, we'll call it a day. Yep. We've already taken 25 minutes. Man, time flies when we're having fun.
When we're having fun.
So everybody have a great day and be safe. And if you have any compliance requirements or security questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Mac. We're happy to answer any of them. And be safe out there.
You guys have to be safe. Bye.